The point of theology is that everything that you know about orthodoxy should translate to orthopraxy. If orthodoxy does not lead to orthopraxy, there's a disconnect there. The best way to learn theology is not to sit and listen to someone teach theology, it's you do theology. Theology is something you do. It's not just something you know. Why do I say that? There are two sides to the same coin when we talk about theology. The first side is what I've been kind of commenting on is orthodoxy. Now, what is orthodoxy? You guys recognize the prefix ortho, like orthodontist? It means straight. Doxy, referring to doctrine or thinking. So straight thinking. Orthodoxy is having the straight, right thinking about the Christian faith. We all understand this concept, so that's why you guys are here, like, teach me orthodoxy. What's the right view? What's the wrong view? What's the right? But that's only one side of theology. There's also the second side, which I would argue, some ways is more important, at least on this side of eternity. Orthopraxy. Ortho means straight. What does praxy mean? Sounds like the what English word? Practice. What you do. Do you guys agree that it's not enough to just know the right things, but actually do the right things? What is a person who has orthodoxy without orthopraxy called in the Bible? Hypocrite. And did Jesus have nice words for hypocrites? You guys see this all, you guys see this even in popular culture. Like a well-known theologian, pastor, someone who says the right things, they have awesome sermons, and then you find out what? Their praxis is horrible. Right? They have scandals financially, maybe sexually. They're bullies. They, demean people. They make people do all sorts of things. I mean, so here's the question. As an unbeliever, if you're a non-Christian, you're viewing this from the outside, what matters more to you? What a person, all the right arguments they say, or how they live? Right? People don't care what you know until they know that you care. Right? That's the principle. And so the point of theology is that everything that you know about orthodoxy should translate to orthopraxy. If orthodoxy does not lead to orthopraxy, there's a disconnect there. So my argument is that if your theology doesn't change the way you live, and if it doesn't allow you to live rightly, you don't have good theology. I don't care if we're in the same camp about Reform or Baptist or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me where you stand on whatever argument you give. How do you live? Like, shouldn't theology affect how you're actually living? Because if you're hearing the same sermons about the gospel or sharing your faith, and it never translates to you sharing your faith, do you really have good theology then? I'm not asking if you could regurgitate a sermon or regurgitate a lecture. Does your theology actually change you? So if your theology is not even changing your practice, I will say something's off here, even if you're saying all the right things. Either you don't really believe it, or you haven't triaged that theology correctly, so you don't have the right urgency with the things you should be urgent about. Here's the way it got illustrated to me. I was talking to an unbeliever one time, and then I don't know, we talked into the idea of hell, right? And hell's a big deal, right? We all agree hell is a big part of doctrine. And then he was saying to me after we talked for like a couple hours, he was like, I don't think Christians really believe in hell. I was like, no, I just said this is one of our, big doctrines. A lot of Christians affirm it. Yeah, there's differences of what hell's going to look like, but most Christians and Orthodox Christians, they affirm some judgment on the final day. Remember the Nicene Creed? He will come to what? Judge, right? So judgment is part of primary issue. And my friend kept saying, no. Because if you guys, well, now he's not speaking to me, but he's saying, if the church really believes in hell, you guys wouldn't stop talking about it. And you're the first person I ever heard talk about hell with me, and I've been alive for like 30 years. Do you see what he's saying? I don't believe in your orthodoxy because your orthopraxy doesn't show that. He said, if you really believe that I'm going to die and I'll be in judgment forever, and that the only hope is this message about Jesus, there's 100 million Christians in the United States. I should have heard this at least 100 million times, and I've heard it once. Do you see what the unbeliever is trying to get at? Even they pick up on this. This is not matching this. What did Jesus say to his disciples? He says, People will know you're my disciples based on what? The doctrines you affirm, the arguments that you give, the denominations you be part. What did he say? No, based on how you what? Love one another. Orthopraxy. So if you guys have, how many of you guys have unbelieving people in your lives? How many of you guys want them to be saved? I hope that. Okay, there we go. Orthopraxy time, okay? You know how that person will be transformed? Is by viewing a transformed life in you. It doesn't matter if you come sit down like, here are the 10 points you got to know. Oh my gosh, do you know what the Trinity is? You have to know the Trinity or else you're going to hell. Live the orthopraxy that is informed by your orthodoxy before you get into the details of orthodoxy.